Are we supposed to start the podcast?
1, 2, 3. I'm Don Lemon. Look at you gorgeous ladies. This is a podcast takeover.
Yes.
Yes, I've had it.
Have it.
And Jen and Pops are here. How are you? What's going on? Did I do okay with that?
You did amazing.
All right,
it
great.
was just like you were in my bedroom again.
Yes. We have both spent so much time with
So
you.
much decade.
In our beds.
I've slept with you?
Yes,
Yes.
Or
many
you
times.
slept with me? I've never slept with you.
Yes, but
right.
we've slept with you.
I've had the
many
biggest
nights.
crush on you for a decade.
Thank you. And you're gorgeous ladies. But do you guys know how much I hear that? Guys will stop me and say, my wife goes to bed with you every night. Wait, I didn't mean it like that.
Right.
Totally.
But it's true. You
Yeah.
watch these people, especially during the dark Trump years, like I had to know what was going on.
Right.
I
Yeah.
couldn't just out of sight, out of mind. And you were my person. And every night I crawled in bed with my French bulldogs and Don Lemon was on.
Right.
I know. And then my sons.
Big hug.
And then my sons would come in. I'd be like, Don Lemon's on.
Don, stop.
They knew
I used to hear
my
that.
mad love with you.
Can I tell you something? I think that was a moment in cable news. Remember, I think that you have only a couple of those moments, but I think it's a moment that won't happen for a while because during the time that I was on, I think it was, and the zenith of CNN was you had a pandemic, global pandemic. Everybody was at home watching.
Right.
You had the chaos that was happening with George Floyd from the fallout with that. And then there was something else on top of it. I forget. And remember the crazy thing with like snowed in May in New York? It was crazy. But we had so much going on and people were just sort of sitting in, and you know, the Trump era, people were just kind of sitting at home watching.
Yep.
And there was a point where I could barely walk down the street.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Before we get into the petty grievances,
Yeah.
we have to talk about Kristi Noem shooting her dog.
What the? Can I say the F?
Yes,
What
please.
the fuck is wrong with her? And why would you first of all, why would you do it? But why would you put it in a book and who would allow that? It's dumb.
That's what I
That's the
said.
thing.
It's cruel and dumb.
Who
Nobody
is not-
talked anybody off
Nobody
the ledge.
talked anybody off the ledge. It was like
No.
nobody said, this might not be good.
Right.
I don't know if we should put this in. So it's like, it makes you think her whole team is incompetent.
Well, it makes you think that obviously they live in another world. Who would shoot a dog in the head? I don't get it.
A sociopath.
Pet.
Right. Who would shoot it? Look, if a dog is attacking you, I don't know. I'm just saying. But a 14-month-old dog
Named Cricket.
named Cricket. Like, and I don't know. I mean, and put it in a book. Do you know, I was on the phone doing a Zoom yesterday with my book publisher and the team, the promotion team and all that, the marketing team. And everybody said, Don, do you know how many eyes that had to get past?
Yeah,
for that
exactly.
to happen? So you're right.
Exactly.
Her whole team must be cruel, or they didn't read her book, or they think it's okay. I don't know who would think that is okay.
I don't either.
All of it.
Or who would put it in a book? Like if it happened, don't admit to it.
Yeah.
Telling
But
your
the-
kids would be the worst part.
I think that there is this side of the political spectrum that is so bizarre. I like right before we came in here, Pumps she's constantly on the liberal algorithm. She's like, guess who's opening up for Trump today? I said, who? Mike Lindell.
the Pillow Man.
Like
How
this
does
is
that
who's
happen?
opening up for
Oh my
him.
gosh. Can he just take a nap? Can he just,
I think he does during court.
Oh,
can he
during
just-
court.
No, I meant Mike Lindell on a pillow. Maybe Mike Lindell should get him a pillow for court.
Mike
It would
Lindell.
also absorb some of the farting
Mike
sounds.
Lindell needs to get a cell and then pat it with my pillow
Yeah.
and get a little camera and pretend like he's just broadcasting from there because
Yeah.
that's where he needs to be. It's crazy.
But it is crazy. Think about where we are when we have a president, honestly, regardless if you're a Democrat or Republican, I really don't care what party you belong to. But when you have a president that's involved in so many court cases and, you know, what he's found guilty of assaulting, liable of assaulting, like a woman, it's just kind of crazy. And I think that somehow our politics have led to cruelty being okay,
Agreed.
Yes.
to meanness being okay,
Yes.
where nothing really matters. So you get someone like a Kristi Noem who, you know, it's okay to shoot a dog in the head and then publish it in a book, but it's actually not okay.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It shouldn't be okay. It's a very weird time.
I think after the Access Hollywood tape, the Republican Party was exposed in a way, and they all became so obsequious to all of the stuff that they had hidden. They started saying all the quiet parts out loud, and it exposed it in a way that it's just we've never come back from that.
Yeah.
From that moment that moral right. You remember during the George
Yeah.
Bush years, it was, I'm a compassionate conservative and family values. There's all that veneer is off now. And then now there's just this punitive nature to the Republican Party that really deeply disturbs me. It disturbs me because there's a cruelty to their policy and they kind of brag about it.
It's part of the process.
Yeah.
It's baked in now. It used to be like, oh, it's a side product. Like, oh my gosh, we didn't mean to be cruel, right? Or we didn't know we were being cruel. Maybe they don't now. But yes, you're right. And here's the thing, like people, again, I'm an independent. But like, with the Democratic Party and everyone talks about woke and all these things, I get it. Like, some of those things are annoying and they're gone too far, but the intent behind it is good.
Right.
And there is a correction there that can happen. When the intent behind something is cruelty or something that's bad, then that's problematic.
Right.
And that's harder to correct if you can't see the difference between right and wrong.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a really good point because I think that like on universities right now, these kids feel compassionate and they feel empathy. Wherever anybody is on the position, their feeling is they want to fight for justice and a safer planet for everybody. And it seems like the other side wants to take away things. Like we live in abortion ban America.
Yeah.
Our state is a full-blown abortion ban. And then we have this crazy superintendent named Ryan Walters. All he talks about 24/7, 365 are trans issues, as though there are all of these trans people in Oklahoma.
Such a small population.
Exactly.
And
Such
a small population.
And it's low-hanging fruit.
Exactly.
Why do you attack the people who are most vulnerable?
Yes.
That's what I mean. It's cruel.
exactly. And I always say, who in their right mind would choose to be trans in the middle of the Bible Belt?
Yeah.
Nobody would do that.
Yeah.
This is not something that's fun for them.
But the thing is like everyone, I have questions. I'm a member of the LGBTQ community. I have questions about trans people or whatever, but I think it's okay to be curious and to have questions.
I do
but
too.
I don't think it's okay to be mean and cruel and to try to ostracize people and to use them as like fodder for your political career or for your religious beliefs.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get a little petty here, Don.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right, what have you had it with?
I have had it with people who contract words. Like, and my partner, my husband does it all the time. He'll say, "Oh, that's a crazy sitch." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Oh, what's your ish?" And everything he'll try to like, it just comes out of the blue, and because he's a millennial, right?
Right.
And I'm like, why does everything have to be a contraction or a shortened word?
Right. Can't
Why
we
do you
just
do
talk
that?
like normal people?
Why can't you talk like, it's like even people have to, contraction sometimes contraction, shorten words and a contraction putting two words together. Like, I think it started with like Brangelina, right?
Yes.
People started contracting like a
Benifer.
couple, Benifer,
Yeah.
and that kind of
Tell them about
crap.
the one that you learned about.
I learned about Riz the other day. I had to ask what it was.
Riz. Oh, it's like, yeah.
Charisma.
Yeah, Riz.
And I was like, what's Riz? And they're like, well, if you have to ask, you don't have any. And I was like, oh, okay. But we got in trouble with the whole continent of Australia because we were like, brekky. Like, it's breakfast. Don't say brekky.
Oh, my gosh.
I said I'd had it with brekky.
Oh, I saw that episode.
But it was a nuance of that.
Brekky.
Talk about not understanding nuance. Australia, listen, we're going to roll out the brekky tour in January, but that's neither here nor there. My nuance with this was American influencers on their Instagram page were like, gonna go have brekky with Bae.
I saw that,
I was like,
yeah.
I've had it. Put a sock in
Wait,
it.
did you talk about that on the Today Show? Was that the one you talked about it on one of the podcasts I saw?
Yeah,
the podcast.
Yeah. So that's one. But I think then the Daily Mail comes out and it's like entire continent of Australia is mad with American podcaster, and it was a picture of me.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Can I tell you a Daily Mail story?
Yes.
So I went to the Time 100 the other night, and they seat you wherever. So they just, you don't get to choose. And so I sat down and I said, "Hi, I'm Don." And the guy said his name, I won't say it. And we started, talking about what we did. And he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm the publisher of the Daily Mail." And that's my dad, and it's been in their family forever. And I said, "Oh, that's interesting. Why do you guys write stuff about me that's not true all the time?" And he's like, "Ah." But they were actually very nice guys.
Yeah.
They were very nice guys. So that's my Daily Mail story.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, why do you keep writing stuff about me?
Okay.
It's it's very sensational. They sensationalize things.
All right.
The Daily Mail.
Homes.com knows that when it comes to home shopping, it's never just about the house or condo. It's about the home. And what makes a home is more than just the house or property. It's the location and neighborhood. If you have kids, it's also schools, nearby parks, and transportation options. That's why Homes.com goes above and beyond to bring home shoppers the in-depth information they need to find the right home. And when I say in-depth, I'm talking deep. Each listing features comprehensive information about the neighborhood, complete with a video guide. They also have details about schools with test scores, state rankings, and student-to-teacher ratio. They even have an agent directory with the sales history of each agent. So, when it comes to finding a home, not just a house, this is everything you need to know, all in one place, Homes.com. We've done your homework. Pumps, I have been best dressed on the pickleball court, hands down, ever since I ordered the Fits Everybody t-shirts by Skims. I ordered them originally just to wear under blazers, but they kind of have a dry fit feeling to them. I wear them with my little pickleball skirts. Compliments galore.
Everything from Skims is so comfortable and has the best fabric. I love the t-shirts with the long sleeves and short sleeves.
You know, Skims really is worth the hype, listener. Every item I purchase from them has quickly become my absolute favorites. I cannot recommend enough the Fits Everybody t-shirts and the soft, smoothing, seamless t-shirts. Shop Skims t-shirt shops at skims.com. They are now available in sizes XXS to 4X. If you haven't yet, be sure to let them know that I've Had It Podcast sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. Pumps, I've got to share with you and our listener about Nurex. Nurex is a care model designed to grow with women. From birth control to wrinkles and dark spot treatment, Nurex understands women's healthcare journeys are unique and ever-changing. That's why Nurex's care model provides comprehensive treatment options specific for women so that they can receive ongoing, high-quality, integrated care all in one place. Taking control of your reproductive health starts with Nurex. Their medical team is here to help with a wide range of reproductive and sexual health care needs. To date, Nurex has delivered birth control to more than 1.6 million patients in the U.S. With Nurex, you've got options. Nurex offers more than 50 birth control formulas, including options for the pill, patch, or ring. They'll work with you to find the best treatment option for your needs. Nurex is accessible and discreet. Get your birth control delivered straight to your door in discreet packaging. No trips to the pharmacy necessary. We'd like to thank Nurex for sponsoring this podcast. Taking control of your reproductive health starts here. Go to Nurex.com/hadit to get started. That's Nurx.com/HADIT. Results may vary, not offered in every state. Medications prescribed only if clinically appropriate, consultation required. Before you came in here, we were talking about how you sometimes have had it with something, but you also are an offender.
Yes.
And I think you have one of these, Dawn.
Right after I wrote to you guys and about what I've had it with, I found myself doing it on the way to the office this morning, on the way to the studio. And I had my briefcase, you saw it, right? My bag on one arm, and I had my jacket on the other arm, and I didn't have a chance to reach for my AirPods. And someone called me from the office, so I just grabbed the phone and as quickly as I could, and I put it on speaker, and I was walking down the street talking to one of my producers on speakerphone. And I hate that. I hate more than anything when someone's phone rings, like turn your ringer off, like a vibrator, a buzz or whatever, or call them back. Like I hate hearing that in public. Phone ringing at home, at your home, like, totally fine. But when you're in public, don't disturb everyone else's peace. And when people are talking on the phone loudly or on speakerphone and you can hear their entire conversation, I don't want to hear that.
Now, what about in a restaurant?
But I did it. Oh my gosh, that is annoying.
See, I think walking on the street, you kind of get a pass on that. Yeah. But a restaurant, no.
Restaurant, sometimes sitting at the table with you. That's crazy.
Yes. And it's like, you're at dinner, put on Do Not Disturb. Yeah. Do something.
Or get up and say, excuse me, I need to take this.
Right.
And like walk away. Yeah.
I had to do that.
By
this
the way,
morning.
brekky, brunch is actually a contraction of breakfast and
Yes, it is.
And
it is.
I do like a good brunch.
What about brunch? You like brunch?
I love a boozy brunch.
Yeah.
I love a boozy brunch,
You
but
hit
then, when I have a boozy brunch, like by like 5 o'clock, I'm done. I fall asleep, and then I wake up at 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, I
That's
wasted
the way
whole
I
evening.
was
Yeah.
when I drank.
Yeah.
I did not have any staying power.
Yeah.
I raged and then faded immediately. I did the rage and fade.
You
and I could
rated?
never rally.
Rage faded, you rated. Quite the sitch you were in.
Okay. Because I had a lot of riz.
You know?
Lots of riz.
Okay. This is something that I just want to drag a dead horse out and beat the ever living shit out of.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it, Jen.
This is yours. Overly cheery people.
Oh my gosh.
Can't stand it.
Why don't you say how you really feel? Why does everything is like, someone will say to me, how's your day going? It's okay. Today's okay.
Right.
I'm okay.
Meh.
I shouldn't complain, but I will always tell the truth. But it's like, oh my gosh, it's so great. And I just hate it. Or if or just those little phrases like, you'll be mad at someone and everyone should have grace in this situation. I'm like,
I
fuck
can't stand
you.
that.
I hate it. Fuck off with that.
Sometimes people are assholes. Can't we
Yeah.
just call it like
Can
we see it?
Yes.
Just like he was an asshole, I was an asshole.
Yeah.
Now we're fine.
Now we're fine.
Okay,
Right.
let's talk about this case. What about the revisionist history when somebody dies? A total dick dies.
Yes.
Just a
Worst.
total asshole.
You mean like
And then-
OJ? Is that what you're talking about? No.
OJ's a great example. OJ's a great example. But, we've all probably been to these funerals and this just world-class asshole dies. And then they're saying all of these, oh, he was a wonderful person. And it's kind of like, no,
he really
wasn't.
You know what that comes from, right? And they say, "Don't speak ill of the dead." Yeah. But I'm with like Betty Davis when supposedly Betty Davis said, "You should only speak good of the dead." And she goes, "Joan Crawford is dead." Good. Right.
That's a great one.
Mommy Dearest is one of my favorite movies of all times.
Yeah.
Featuring
Really,
Faye
really
Dunaway.
great,
Okay,
really
what
great.
about the phrase, this is one that gets in my craw, and it has been sitting there for decades.
Yes.
Everything happens for a reason.
I hate that one. No, it doesn't.
It's not true.
Bad shit happens a
Bad
lot.
shit happens too, right? Yeah. Bad shit happens all the time.
And bad shit happens to good people.
Yeah.
Right.
God never gives you more than you can handle. Well, God has a lot more
Faith in me than I
faith in
do.
me than I have in myself because I can't handle this shit.
No,
Yeah.
I'm above
Yeah.
my pay grade.
And
Just
then-
stop.
I don't like the phrase either where something will happen and then the person will say, it was just a God thing. Like that there was divine intervention in their life. Like they might like have hit a yellow light instead of a red light.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be like, either way, you were probably going to hit that red light.
Yeah.
That probably had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
But I don't know why people have a tendency to always want to lean into superstition or something, having order in all of the chaos that is the human experience.
Yeah.
Because the human experience is very chaotic.
Do you think God cares if you win an Emmy or an Oscar or a football game? Or what? I would like to think God first. I mean, I get it if you're a believer, but it's like, no, I don't know. I mean, it's
I'm not a believer at all. And
Yeah.
so I really get irritated when like football players score and they're looking up. I'm like, what about the other 11 guys?
Yeah.
Like, why did you get, why
isn't
are you
God like-
favored?
Why does God like you better than us?
Like why did you make the touchdown and not the other ones?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we live in the Bible Belt, so there's a lot of it, which
Wait, did you get
exacerbates.
this? Sorry, I hate to
No,
cut
go
you
ahead.
off. How are you doing today? Blessed and highly favored. Sorry.
If someone said that to me, I would die.
People have said that to
Haven't
me.
you heard that? You've never
Yes,
heard that?
blessed, but not
A
and
guy
highly
at
favored.
TSA
Blessed
at
and
Will
highly
Rogers
favored.
World Airport, where we fly out of in Oklahoma City, just said that to me. I said, "Hey, how are you doing today?" He said, "Blessed and highly favored." And you know what? Instead of me smiling, kind of walking off, I was like, "God, what a dick!" And he's really a sweet guy. It was a sweet gesture.
It is, but it's too
I'm
syrupy.
so
Yeah.
cynical that I just it irked me.
Yeah. You've had it with TSA.
Had it.
Yeah, I saw that on your podcast.
It's never
You had it
ending.
with them.
It's a never ending beehive of had it.
And
Okay.
you know they can see everything too when they scan you. Everything.
Really?
Okay, that's
Like my
interesting.
IUD?
They, I don't. I guess if they adjusted the thing, they could probably, but I know that on guys, it's like,
like penis size?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
really?
So I just went through it with the guy where you do the hands up and the swoosh, and he came out and he was like an older, unattractive guy, and his penis area lit up bright red, and I was like, what's going on there? I wonder.
Wait,
One
what?
of the other passengers?
The person behind me, I'm waiting to see if they're going to scan me, and he just had like red where his crotch would be, like kind of down low, and I
Hot
thought,
crotch?
hot crotch. I thought, are they going to?
It was like a glowing red
Yes,
light?
it was glowing red, and then they passed him on, and I thought, well, I guess they're not worried about it being metal. Do you think it was like a penis pump?
I don't. His penis was blessed and highly favored. I mean,
Highly favored.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's what
I
could
was
that?
so intrigued, but I didn't
Hot
want to
crotch.
ask.
It
Hot
couldn't
crotch.
be. What could it be? Like not a cell phone. Sometimes but you can't go through with your cell phone.
Right. No, and
Right.
it was like atomically correct. Like, I don't know.
Okay, Dawn, you're from the South, so you're going to know this phrase, titty baby.
Oh yeah.
You know what a titty baby is?
You're a big titty baby.
Yeah.
Right.
A big crybaby.
Pussy.
So I watched an interview recently with you and Elon Musk. And I I can spot a titty baby immediately.
Yeah.
The stage 5 meltdown that he had, and I didn't even think you were being like, I've
nothing.
seen hardcore go hard in the paint Don Lemon.
Right.
This was mild. This was
Yeah.
mild Don Lemon.
Thank you.
You're
I'm so
welcome.
glad you said that.
You're welcome.
I don't know. I was like, why are you getting so upset? It
was weird.
It was bizarre. But the thing is like, why was he getting upset about public statements that he had already made? I was just because I was there. It's X or Twitter, and I wanted to know about the stuff that he did on his platform. So 99% of the questions were about his platform, but everything else was about statements that he put out. Like he put it out about his ketamine, right, on the platform. He talked about DEI on the platform. He talked about all other kinds of things. And so I just asked him about that because I was doing a distribution deal with him, a content deal on his platform. I thought that I should get some answers, that everyone should get some answers because people want to know. If I had the opportunity, why do you say that DEI is like, why did you say that planes are falling out of the sky for DEI? He says he didn't say that. Well, he did. He responded to a tweet that said that. And that said DEI is a problem. I said, so what are you saying? That women pilots and minority pilots are less intelligent and less skilled than white male pilots? And he was just like, he couldn't get it. But it wasn't a gotcha interview.
No, it wasn't at all.
Not at all. He just started,
He got defensive because he's wrong. And he knows it.
You think so?
I think so.
Oh, 100%. He's wrong, and he's a titty baby.
He's a titty baby. Nobody
There's
ever
just-
says to him, you can't say that, or you need to say something differently. Or I don't think there's anybody in his circle that says, I kind of disagree with that idea. Let's talk about it. Like, what's your point of view? I think it's all, yes, you're the most brilliant, you're the best. So he doesn't understand any type of, not even a criticism, just a question.
But I've been surprised by his sort of bro sycophants who have been sort of twisting the interview, to make it into a gotcha, like Don Lemon there was a gotcha interview, or you're an idiot, or you were saying things that were wrong. And my facts were right on everything.
Here's the thing about that. How stupid is Elon Musk and all of the sycophants around him when you have Don Lemon? It's not like you're like Pumps and me rolling up to Twitter interviewing him. You have a decades-long storied career in journalism wherein everybody who has a pulse knows that you ask serious questions.
Yeah. Right.
And if he's going to get on his platform and say crazy shit, a journalist should check that. That is his thesis statement, is the First Amendment. And within the First Amendment is Don Lemon, the journalist, asking questions to power. And he holds a lot of power with X. And so there's nothing more American than what that was. What I don't like, where American culture is going, is the stage 5 freak out from these quote unquote alpha males like Elon Musk, like Donald Trump. And the minute you scratch just behind that veneer, they're the biggest titty babies on the planet. And so I'm happy that somebody finally sat down with him and questioned him. Yeah. I mean, he has a big responsibility owning that.
And he doesn't even know how I feel about DEI. Not that it was his job to ask me, but I'm a man of color. I believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? Especially for underserved communities and for women. I mean, I hate it when when I would be in meetings and there would be one woman in there, she'd have a great, idea, and then everyone would ignore her. And then it would come around to a white guy and he would go, but he would just do like this with the same idea. And they would go, that's great, Bob. And I'm like, but Cindy just said that like 10 minutes ago.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Like check yourself. Like you understand. So there are issues. Nothing is perfect. There are issues with diversity, equity, inclusion. There are issues with affirmative action. There are issues with everything. There are issues with the church, whatever. Nothing is perfect. So I think that there can be a correction in companies, and you need to reassess every once in a while to see if you've gone too far, right?
Right.
So I think that is a fair, like I said, nuance. But to think that you should get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion forever, or you should use it as a political cudgel during an election season or whatever, I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. And I think it's actually a sign of entitlement.
Okay, I want to ask you, you were recently on Bill Maher. And I, being non-religious, raised in the Bible Belt by atheist parents, progressive parents, Bill Maher was a huge part of my life, watching him, relating to him. And it seems like lately, I'm like, what is happening with him?
Yeah, Religulous, remember what he did on
Yes,
religion? He
it was
talked about
loved it.
The hypocrisy and
It was
religion.
phenomenal. I went to see, so then I saw this clip of you on there, and you said that, a lot of spaces that you're in, you're the only black man.
Yeah.
And Bill seemed kind of dismissive of that. And have you seen, first of all, how did that make you feel?
Well, it was kind of weird because I thought in the moment he said it's just the three of us, and I'm like, yeah, and one of us, there's one black person there. I'm surrounded by two white guys, but I don't know how the press read it. I thought he was just sort of making a joke. And then what I did was I looked out into the audience, and I may have seen one black person, but I think people of color and even women get used to being the only person in the room. And sometimes you'll look around and you go, I'm the only woman in the room. I know that my women friends will tell me that. Or I'll go, I'm the only black person in the room. And for many years, I was the only black person in primetime on cable news. And so you're often in spaces, and people will make comments, and you're uncomfortable, but you realize if you spent your entire life being offended, you'd be offended all the time.
Right.
If you were offended by everything, you'd spend your entire life being offended. Or they would make gay jokes, or they would say that's so gay or whatever, and just little things that happen daily, and it makes you uncomfortable. Sometimes you have to. I try to call it out in the moment without being preachy. But yeah, and I think to dismiss that is to be unaware of how our society actually works, and I think that people have gotten too comfortable with that. Look around sometimes when you're in a room, when you're in church, when you're at a restaurant, when you're at a ball game, and look at the ethnicity of the people. Do you constantly surround yourself with people who only look like you? I don't. Look, I'm not saying I want to disparage anyone. But I think we spend too much time doing that, and I think we should go up to a person of color in the carpool lane and say, our sons play soccer together, and we're having a cookout on Sunday. Maybe you should come over. If someone is of a different ethnicity, I think you have to make an effort to get to know people. Otherwise,
Did you just invite us to the cookout?
I did.
Yes, I'm ready.
I did. And Tim, my husband, is more aware of it than I am after being in an interracial relationship. And he'll look at people's social media and he'll go, did you see the such and such? And I'm like, no. And he'll say, look at everyone at this party. And to us, it's foreign because we have his best friend is Indian. At our wedding, we had an Irish blessing and we jumped over the broom, which is an African tradition. And so we try to invite everyone in. So if you're not doing that in your life, this is a time to change it. And that would actually help our politics a lot.
I think
agree.
so too. I have a long complaint about the suburbs because, at least in Oklahoma City, the suburbs are very white. And everybody in the suburbs surrounding Oklahoma City is the exact same person. Mm-hmm. They're white, they're evangelical, they're Republican, and they all live in the same neighborhoods. All their houses look the same. There's no culture. They don't hear other foreign languages. And xenophobia and racism and all of these things breed out there because they're never confronted or around anything different. And then their algorithms send them more of this stuff. And I worry about it. And we've been traveling so much with the podcast, and we're in these big international cities. And I love walking down the street and hearing a foreign language. And you live in New York, so you hear this all the time. We live in a very homogenous city. And I agree that that's why you see cities that are most populous places are blue, because people are more mixed in and more tolerant, because you have to be to survive. It's kind of an evolution thing.
And you get to know people.
That's right.
I always say, like, you know, I know people think like the subway is the most dangerous place on earth.
We ride it all the time.
I loved it.
I call it the great equalizer.
Totally.
Because you get to see everyone there. And, you know, I used to I had to during the Trump years, spend my life in the back of a black car because I had death threats and all of that. But now that that's over, I'm not on, the traditional television. I can go out in places. People still obviously recognize me. The taxi driver, when I got here, people on the subway, they'll be like, "Hi, can I get a selfie?" I don't want that. But I don't feel like someone's going to come up and try to kill me anymore.
Right.
So I call it the great equalizer, and I love walking down the street. And when I was late to come here because I was shooting something at my studio, I wanted to hop on the city bike, right, and just sort of ride through the city and take it in. But I'm glad you reminded me of that. So what I thought in that moment with Bill Maher is that I think most people don't get a chance. If the people in that audience were surrounded by, if they went into a group of only black people, right, or only Latino people, they would perhaps understand a little bit how I feel every single day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you'd be like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on? Like if you went to an entirely black neighborhood, there are times when I go on the Upper East Side, everybody's white, right?
Right.
I was in the restaurant last night, and the only person that was black was me and the hostess.
I've just noticed with Bill Maher, it seems like
you asked me what was going on.
It seems like he's kind of gotten grumpy old manish. I heard him talking about kind of disparagingly about drag queens and disparagingly about trans people. And then he said that comment to you. And I always really admired him and liked him. And it was a big voice in my political upbringing, in your 20s when you're figuring out who you are and what you believe and why you believe it, the movie Religulous. And I think the problem is, again, when you have liberals that live in a blue state where they're protected by a blue state government, you have the luxury of thinking about the nuance of civil rights and, these drag queens or whatever. But when you live in a red state and you see in a red state government and you see the vitriol and you see it up front, you know that you have to go all chips in on supporting the drag queens. You know you have to go all chips in on supporting trans rights because they use it and they abuse it. And we see these kids that are hurting and they're getting bullied by their governments. And so I've been really disappointed in Bill. And I saw the clip with you and I just thought, that's not the Bill that I watched for all those years.
It feels like you would think he would be more aware, and I think that Bill is, but it sounds like he's just not aware of the situation. It's empathy.
Right.
Empathy is the thing. And you know what? I'm glad you said that because my family comes to visit me usually once a year. They'll come twice this year because they came for the wedding, or they'll come during the summer, and they'll say, "Don, it's like two different worlds." They're in Louisiana, which is very red. And it's like two different worlds. They'll say, we've been here for 2 days and we have not seen one Trump supporter. We haven't heard the word Trump. We haven't heard the word MAGA. There's not been an uncomfortable space that we've been in. And it's a whole nother thing. So you're exactly right about that.
Listeners, this episode is proudly brought to you by Lola V, an award-winning hair care line founded by the fabulous Jennifer Aniston. Hair so iconic it needs no introduction. Pumps, I put my hair through the ringer. I don't even remember what my natural hair color is. Coloring, heat, styling, stress. Unfortunately, aging, the list goes on, and over time it takes a toll. That's why it's crucial to have products that not only repair the look of the damage, but also shield your locks from future harm. I've introduced Lola V. It's clean, plant-powered products for every hair type and texture. And here's a treat for you. our awesome listeners. For a limited time, you get an exclusive 15% off your entire order at lolavie.com. Just use the code HADIT15 at checkout. Unlock Jennifer Aniston approved hair at lolavie.com. As our loyal listeners, you get an exclusive 15% off your entire order when you use the code HADIT15 at checkout. That's 15% off your order at lolavie.com with promo code HADIT15. Please note you can only use one promo code per order and discounts can't be combined. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Your hair will thank you. All right, Pump, should we play Had It or Hit It?
Yes.
Oh my God. Welcome to Had It or Hit It. I would hit it.
Had it.
Had it. I hit it every day, sometimes twice a day. Okay.
I love you guys.
I love you, Dudley.
Okay.
I can't believe I'm here with you.
I told Jennifer right before you came, I was like, my heart rate's like 170.
I felt like we broke up for all this time, and now we're back together in person, and my heart is so full, Don Lemon.
Oh, you just have
You
no
guys will have
idea
to
the
keep
crush that I've had on you for so many years.
Oh, my
I mean,
gosh.
so many years. I know you're married. I know you're gay. You're hot. You're smart. I love your voice. I love when you talk about your mom. I mean, I just love everything about Don Lemon.
So I'm a hit it.
You're a hit it.
We hit Don Lemon. Okay. Had it or hit it, coffee art.
Coffee art, had it.
Had it. Why do people think that's interesting?
Had it.
Had
Why do you
it.
need that? Just give me my coffee. And why does it cost $20 for a cup of coffee?
Agree.
Had it.
Okay. Had it or hit it, Kellyanne Conway.
This is going to be a surprise. Can I do both, or do I have to
You can do both.
I
You
can
can
do
do
both. Kellyanne in person is one of the nicest, smartest people you ever want to meet. I've had it with her politics.
I feel like she gave us alternative facts.
Yeah,
Like she is
I've
ground
had it
zero.
with her politics as a human being. I would say hit it, but with discretion.
Really? I'm
If
so
you met
surprised.
her, you would like her. If
I
you
would?
met her, you would like her. Yeah.
See, we got a lot of hate in the beginning because they thought we were like Kellyanne Conway lookalikes, you know, middle America accent. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
middle-aged accents, blonde, like we must be MAGA. And then
Yeah.
when we weren't, they just went bananas.
Yeah.
So I just really don't like her.
And I like that she is protective of her kids. And I love that her daughter is LGBTQ and she's completely supportive of that. But her politics, I've had it. I don't want to
Okay,
deal
I have a
with it.
question about that.
Yeah.
How do you have an LGBTQ plus child, as Kellyanne Conway does?
And support.
And then support a man who puts these justices on the Supreme Court, and those terms are going to outlive the presidential term. And you have Alito and Thomas saying they want to overturn the gay marriage. And that type of moral duplicity, Dawn, it fucking pisses me off.
I will just say this, and not specifically just for Kellyanne Conway, but ambition causes people to do a lot of things. It causes a lot of cognitive dissonance.
Yep, it does.
You know what I'm saying?
I just wonder if it was power, but it's ambition. Like,
Ambition is a lot. If you, especially in the business that I'm in, ambition is everything, and people will literally kill their grandmother if they had to.
is that why so many people compromise for Trump?
Yeah, you mean
They just they go morally bankrupt in his orbit.
yeah, you mean people on the pundits or just in general?
In general, like the people that work for him.
Yes.
Okay.
Very simple question. Absolutely. That's
Okay.
it. Power and ambition. And it's, by the way, it's the shortest line to the front. Because I remember, what's her name? Kayleigh McEnany. She was on CNN. And I remember, oh my God, you guys laugh. What's going on?
She's just I have a nephew and he's a federal agent, but he's super progressive. But he kind of, when Kayleigh McEnany was on TV, he goes, I kind of have this fucked up crush on Kayleigh McEnany with her little cross. And I kind of have these sexual fantasies about her and I hate her and I hate everything that she says. Yeah. And I just
But that's kind of, he feels the way I feel about Kellyanne Conway. I don't have a crush on her, but there are things about her that I find admirable. But for the most part, like you said, yeah.
just every time I always think about him and his just moral dilemma and thinking she was attractive, but also hating everything she said.
Yeah, well, yeah, I get it. Because there are some people who I find repugnant, and I'm like, but they're really good looking.
Yeah.
But,
It's awful.
but I don't want to hit it. I don't want to hit it. Right. Okay. So just when I say it's the shortest line to the front, there were a number of people who were like this. But I remember on CNN, she was a pundit, and she was like a baby pundit or whatever. And they would. There was a show called Get to the Point. They were piloting shows on CNN. And they needed a blonde conservative, someone who was cute, like to feel sort of, because you needed different types. And so they chose Kayleigh McEnany, and she was anti-Trump. And she was anti-Trump.
Really?
I remember this.
And then I feel when she figured out she got more clicks and it was more, she became, more popular, it was the shortest line to the front.
Yeah.
She ended up becoming his press secretary.
Right.
Yeah.
And just got out there and he just shit all over her every day, and she had to lie, lose all credibility.
But think about a lot of the Republican contributors and hosts who are on the air now. Same thing. They're very thin resumes, but because they needed a Trump person, someone to sort of explain Trumpism and to be there to support Trumpism, they got the jobs. They skipped everybody else.
Okay, this one I hate to do to you, but I have to because I'm spicy and salty. Had it or hit it, Nikki Haley.
Oh, had it.
Had it. They used to call me Judge Judy Diana because of Judge Judy. But then she endorsed Nikki Haley, and I was like, you can't call me that anymore.
Yeah.
Anybody who says racism has never been American, I'm just like, shut the fuck up.
That's ambition. That's the ambition thing we're talking about. If you're a person of integrity, I believe you cannot be all things to all people.
Right.
So she tries to be all things to all people. And I think that be who you are, right? Don't say, Donald Trump I don't think he should be president, or he's awful, whatever, I'm paraphrasing, and then take a job in his cabinet, right? And then tell him you're not going to run, and then run. Do you understand?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then say, I'm not for abortion, but it's like, but whatever we can get past. Yeah,
But here's the difference. So I remember you were everybody had a meltdown because Don Lemon said that Nikki Haley was a woman that was past her prime. Mm-hmm. And I understand because when you have to sit and talk all the time, you have to say shit. You're extemporaneously speaking. You corrected it. You apologized, you moved on down the road. And that's kind of how open-minded people with integrity operate, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't always be perfect all the time. You can't say everything perfectly all the time. Nikki Haley says that the United States is not a racist country. Mm-hmm. And I am like, how on earth? I know the people that she hangs around in the Republican Party because I live around them.
Right.
Yeah.
They're my neighbors. I know these people, and I know they're racist. Yeah. They thought it was hilarious to call Air Force One Afro One when Obama won.
I had never heard of that.
It was in Oklahoma City.
And that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
And so the racist, but there's hardly ever a correction on their side to find empathy, and it feels so I get fatigue from it. That one side has to have integrity, one side has to have do everything above board, and the other side it's just fucking throw red meat all the time. It drives me batshit.
She knows better.
Yeah.
I think I forget the exact story about her father. I think her father could not get a job except for at an HBCU or something like that, and there was some story like that. That's racism.
Exactly.
And
she changed her name, for God's sakes.
I was just going to say that. Her name is Nimrata.
That's right.
And so, but Nikki sounds like she should look like you guys, right?
Right.
Hey, that's my friend Nikki, right?
Yeah.
So she knows better. Again, being all things to all people, I think she wants to, cozy up to the MAGA or to the more conservative, racist parts of the Republican Party. So she has to say stuff like that. And she, to say, well, I knew of course the Civil War was about, remember she said that Civil War was about slavery. I knew better. But I didn't figure, it was so obvious that you didn't have to mention it. It's like really, like you said, if you're in those spaces, you got to go all in. And sometimes you have to over-explain things to people. So when you have that moment, that opportunity to be on a stage like that, and someone says, what was the Civil War about? You say, the Civil War was obviously about slavery.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly
do
right.
Do not get it twisted. It was about slavery.
It's exactly right.
That's like the comment. Like when you mentioned Nikki Haley, I said, I don't believe in that, but no one wrote about that. No one heard that. But I misspoke, or I should say, I wasn't clear enough, and I should be more precise in my language, especially as a journalist. And it was made into something that was completely opposite of what I believe.
And I do think because you are who you are, a Black gay man, they are waiting in the wings to jump on what the words that you say. You don't get you're not going to get away with jack shit.
No.
The Tucker Carlsons and the Sean Hannitys, the scope of stuff that they get away with, I mean, it's a wide range. But you misstep one time, and they're going to hammer down the Daily Mail, Fox, all of them.
Do you ever watch Fox News?
I can't.
Okay, I never do. But we interviewed the vice president, Kamala Harris. No big deal. Not trying to brag, not trying to flex. But obviously that was a big fucking deal for us. So we interviewed her last month. Okay, we're so excited. It was so surreal. We get back from D.C. and somebody messages me, y'all are on Fox News. So I switched to Fox. And Jesse Waters spent 9.5 primetime minutes from the start of his show until the first commercial break talking about the two of us with Kamala. I was crying, laughing. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was hilarious. And then I tried to stay with Fox a little bit after that.
Yeah.
And it just was so vapid. And I was like, no wonder these people like.
That's what my mom says. They know what sells.
The
The
next day, we go into the studio and we have death threats. I'm sure you're familiar with all this stuff.
I was going to say, now you know what I went through for years.
Yeah.
And even still, now I go through it. But what I was going to say is, sometimes I'll watch to see what's going on. I used to watch more often. This is going to sound weird. I used to like to watch Bill O'Reilly because I thought he was a great performer. Again, I didn't believe in everything he said. I used to like to watch Megyn Kelly. I thought she was a great performer, right? And then it just got so crazy I cannot watch anymore because they've just but sometimes the way that the guys talk to the women on that network, and I'm like, I'm shocked.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. Like, stop it, you shut it, whatever. And I'm like, okay, all right, but I'm the problem.
When I watched it, I felt like it was satire.
Yeah.
I did not think it was real news. I couldn't believe it. But Bill O'Reilly, really quick, we talked about this right before we started. Best line in all of broadcasting ever. Fuck it. Let's do it live.
Let's do it live. And he rips off his jacket. I mean, I'm just like, he's fucking unhinged.
It is the best.
You got to give it to it, though. Give it to them. They know what their audience wants, and they pander to
They
that.
serve it up.
They serve it
every
up.
night.
Yeah.
It is not there. It is too black and white for me. My worldview is a lot more gray, a lot more nuanced, and it's not for me.
I'm glad you said nuance. There's no nuance. I told you that, right? Mm-hmm. I've had it with no nuance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything is, you have to choose a side. Everything is not binary. Like we can hold two thoughts. We can hold more than one thought
exactly
in our mind.
Right.
She always
at the
says
same
that.
time.
That's really what becoming a somewhat sane adult is learning how to manage and juggle multiple thoughts that and
sometimes they conflict.
That's right.
Sometimes you're like, God, I don't know. I mean, I want to feel this way, but I just don't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
If I was a good person, I'd feel this way.
Yeah.
But that's not being a good person because I don't. I feel
You're
that
a
all the
terrible
time.
person, Pop.
I know. It's awful.
Okay, Dawn, our last one.
Oh my gosh, this is it?
I know.
We
have to go to LaGuardia. I know.
I know. I have a 5 o'clock show that I do live. I totally forgot.
I know.
Fuck it.
I love when I get lost in conversation like this. I got lost in conversation with Scott. Scott Galloway came on my show to talk about his book. And we just started talking, and then he called me up 30 minutes after we finished taping, and he said, Don, my publisher's going to kill me. I said, why? He goes, we forgot to talk about the fucking book. I'm like, oh my God, we totally did. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right, last one. Had it or hit it, gay marriage.
Speaking of nuance. No. I'm going to say hit it. But I'm also going to say that I am a man of a certain age. I'm old enough to remember when it was kind of unique and, it was a bit different. And so while I'm happy that, that people are being treated equally, I don't think that gay people should aspire to be heteronormative, all the time. And I think marriage is sort of an institution that does that. But I did it because I think it's important that same-sex marriage be legal. And I got married. And I had the ambassador, UN ambassador to the the United States ambassador to the UN officiate our wedding.
Oh, that's cool.
It was amazing. And we did it in a church because I'm a believer. You're not a believer, but
Right.
that's totally fine.
Right.
But I have a book coming out, by the way. You have to come back on. I mean, you have to
we'll
come on the show and talk to me. You can come on my show and interview me about the book or however you want.
I would love it. No, we'll have you back on.
But I have questions, right? And I think you're supposed to question, and I have doubts about my faith and about my religion, and that's okay. You cannot say that to a Christian, to an evangelical. They're like, wait, what the hell are you talking about?
Right.
Or what the heck are you talking about?
Right.
So, but I believe I like the tax benefits. So I think everyone should be
Right.
treated equally
Right.
under our system. But could I have never gotten married? Sure. But I would want to be with my partner for the rest of my life.
I think you guys are entitled to the same level of misery the
Misery.
rest of us
Everyone
have.
Well, that's the whole point. I'm like, hey, I'm gay. I don't have to get married. But then I fell in love with someone. And,
Of course.
hit it.
Any groomzillas
Speaking of hitting
in that
it.
wedding?
No.
Really?
Speaking of the
Low-key.
Daily Mail, I said that to the Daily Mail guys. I said, you guys called me a groomzilla.
Oh, they did?
Oh my gosh, yeah. That
Oh, I
I was a
love that.
groomzilla in the wedding because it fits their thing.
Yeah.
Do you know how much I had to do with the wedding? I showed up.
That was it.
Tim loves to plan, and
Right.
also I know that Tim is a good planner.
Right.
Right.
And so whatever he said, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. He knows I was starting a new show. We had just moved into an apartment. I was starting a production company. There was a big transition. There was a lot of tumult in my life. And so he said, I will handle this.
Right.
All I said was to him that may have been, and that's not even a groomzilla, is like, this is costing a fucking lot of money, right?
Right.
And who doesn't
normal.
do that, right?
Right.
Like, keep the cost down.
The groomzilla.
That's all I said, but I had the furthest thing from a groomzilla. But I'm a groomzilla because I guess that, it gets clicks.
Fits their narrative.
Right, fits
gets
the
quick.
narrative.
All right.
So I've had it with that.
Had it.
Listeners, you can find Don Lemon on YouTube.
On YouTube, on The Don Lemon Show, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, and on, what's the other one? YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio. No, that's YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. And Apple. And
I
Apple.
am so happy that now I can put you back into bed with me.
Thank you. I love going to bed with you, even though I didn't know who I was going to bed with.
You were going to bed with so many people every night, and
Yeah.
now you're back. It's
Yeah.
a little early for bedtime, but we like to go to bed early.
Yeah.
I hope that this is the first date of many.
Many
for the
days.
three of us.
Thank you.
We've slept together so much.
I would hope that, but I've had it with you guys. No, I'm kidding. Hit it.
We will hit Don
Both of
Lemon.
you.
Hit Don
All
Lemon.
right, listeners. Thank you. Pumps, tell them.
We will see you next Tuesday or Thursday or both.